The stars had been at war for 30 years. Kang Taeho remembered when the first alien ships appeared in Earth's sky. He was a young Navy captain then, standing on the deck of his destroyer, watching lights move across the heavens in ways that defied everything he knew. That was 40 years ago. Now he was old, tired, and carried the weight of a world on his shoulders. The war between the Keth Empire and the Ilvari Coalition had burned across 1,000 star systems. Planets died. Species vanished. The galaxy bled, and Earth watched from the sidelines like a child hiding under a table while giants fought in the room above. Taeho stood before the United Earth Council in Geneva. The room was vast and cold, filled with representatives from every nation. They looked at him with fear in their eyes. They always did these days. "We stay neutral," Taeho said. His voice was calm but firm. "That is our only path to survival." A delegate from Brazil spoke up. "But Secretary Kang, both sides have offered us protection. If we join one of them, we gain powerful allies. We gain masters," Taeho replied. "I have read their treaties. I have studied their offers. They do not want allies. They want servants. They want our resources, our soldiers, our planet. We are nothing to them, a small blue world on the edge of nowhere. Our only value is that we stay out of their way." The room fell silent. They knew he was right. They had all seen the reports from the Galactic Assembly. To the great powers of the cosmos, humanity was primitive, amusing, irrelevant, far above Earth, on a space station that floated between stars. Choi Sora sat in a chamber, filled with aliens. She was Earth's diplomat to the Galactic Assembly, and she hated every moment of it. The Keth delegate was speaking. He was tall, with gray skin and 4 arms. His voice was like grinding metal. "The Ilvari attacked our supply lines again. We demand the Assembly take action." The Ilvari delegate laughed. She was beautiful in a strange way, with silver hair and eyes like liquid gold. "Your supply lines were carrying weapons to slaughter civilians. We did the galaxy a favor." Sora watched them argue. Neither side cared about justice or peace. They cared about winning. And caught between them were 100 smaller species, forced to pick sides or be crushed. A Keth official noticed her watching. He smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "The human observer. Tell me, little creature, has your world decided to join the winning side yet?" Sora smiled back, cold and sharp. "We are still considering our options. Consider faster. The war will reach your corner of space eventually. When it does, you will wish you had chosen wisely. There will stores." Sora said nothing. But inside, her heart was pounding. She knew he was right. Back on Earth, in an underground laboratory beneath the mountains of Korea, Yoon Hana worked through another sleepless night. She was young, barely 30, but her eyes carried the exhaustion of someone much older. Around her, machines hummed and screens glowed with data. Project Aegis, a planetary defense shield. The Council did not believe they needed it. They thought neutrality would protect them. Hana knew better. She had studied the Keth. She had studied the Ilvari. Neither side respected neutrality. They only respected power. Her assistant, a nervous young man named Do Yoon, brought her coffee. "Dr. Yoon, you should sleep. You have been awake for 3 days." "I will sleep when the shield works," Hana replied. She took the coffee and drank it without tasting it. On her screen, simulations ran over and over. The shield flickered, stabilized, then collapsed. Every time. "We are missing something," she muttered. "Something small. Something obvious." Doyun looked at the data. "Maybe the power distribution? If we reroute through secondary nodes." Hana stopped. She stared at him. Then she laughed, sudden and bright. "Doyun, you are a genius." She began typing furiously. The simulation ran again. The shield flickered, stabilized, and held. "It works," she whispered. "It actually works." But even as she celebrated, she knew the truth. The shield could protect 3 cities at most. If the war came to Earth, millions would still die. Across the world, life continued. In Seoul, a teacher named Lee Woojin stood before his classroom, explaining the history of human conflicts. "We have always fought each other," he told his students, "but we have also always found ways to make peace. That is what makes us human." A student raised her hand. "Teacher, do you think the aliens will attack us?" Woojin paused. He looked out the window at the blue sky. Somewhere up there, ships were burning. Soldiers were dying. Worlds were ending. "I hope not," he said finally. "But if they do, we will face it together." That night, something fell from the sky. It crashed into the Pacific Ocean with a force that created waves 50 meters high. Ships rushed to investigate. Satellites pointed their cameras downward. And the world held its breath. It was a ship. Ilvari design. Damaged. Burning. Sinking fast. Rescue teams pulled a single survivor from the wreckage. She was alien, silver-haired and golden-eyed, and she was barely alive. Her name was Rena. And when she finally woke in a hospital in Tokyo, surrounded by human doctors and soldiers, she spoke words that changed everything. "The Keth are coming," she said, her voice weak but urgent. "They have chosen your world. They need it for their war. You have 11 days. 11 days before their fleet arrives. 11 days before they burn your cities and enslave your people." She grabbed the arm of the nearest soldier, her grip surprisingly strong. "You must prepare. You must fight, or you will die. All of you." The room was silent. Outside, the sun was setting. In 11 days, it might rise on a very different world. The war had found Earth, and Earth was not ready. The sky broke open on the 11th day. Park Jinu was eating breakfast in the pilot's barracks near Busan when the alarm started screaming. He dropped his rice bowl and ran to the window. What he saw made his blood turn cold. The clouds were splitting apart. Through the gaps, massive shapes descended. Ships. Hundreds of them. Thousands. They blocked out the sun and cast shadows across the entire peninsula. Each one was the size of a mountain, covered in metal plates and glowing with strange energy. The Keth had arrived. Commander Voss stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the blue planet below. He felt nothing but contempt. These humans had been given a chance to surrender years ago. They had chosen to hide instead. Now they would learn the price of that foolishness. "Open communications," he ordered. "All frequencies." His voice echoed across every radio, every television, every phone on Earth. "People of this world. I am Commander Voss of the Keth Empire. Your planet has been selected to serve our war effort. You will surrender your governments, your resources, and your obedience. Resistance will result in annihilation. You have 1 hour to respond." In Geneva, Kang Tae-ho listened to the message. The council members around him were panicking. Some were crying. Some were already drafting surrender documents. "Secretary Kang," the council president said, his voice shaking. "We must respond. We must surrender. We cannot fight them." Tae-ho looked at the screens showing alien ships over every major city. He thought of his son, who had died years ago trying to make peace with these creatures. He thought of every human who would become a slave if he gave up now. "No," he said. "No? Are you insane? They will kill us all." Tae-ho turned to face the council. His eyes were hard as stone. "Then we die free. Send no response. Let our silence be our answer." The hour passed. Voss received nothing from Earth. He smiled. "Begin bombardment." The first beams of light fell on Tokyo. Buildings vanished in an instant. Entire city blocks became craters of fire and ash. The screams of millions filled the air before being silenced forever. New York was next. Then London. Then Mumbai. Then Sao Paulo. Jinu watched the news reports in horror. Cities he had visited. Friends he had known. All gone. In flashes of terrible light. The other pilots around him were frozen, unable to comprehend what they were seeing. his commanding officer burst through the door. "All pilots to your jets, now! We are launching everything we have!" Jinnu ran. He did not think. He just moved. Minutes later, he was in his cockpit, engines roaring, racing toward the alien fighters that swarmed the skies. His jet was old, human technology. It should have been useless against Keth weapons. But as Jinnu engaged the enemy, he discovered something strange. The Keth pilots were terrible at close combat. Their targeting systems were advanced, capable of hitting targets from hundreds of kilometers away. But when Jinnu dove between them, spinning and weaving at close range, their systems could not keep up. They relied too much on their computers. They had forgotten how to fight with instinct. Jinnu shot down 3 fighters in the first minute. Then 5 more. Around him, other human pilots were doing the same. For every 10 they lost, they took down 20. It was not enough. Not nearly enough. But it was something. In Seoul, Lee Woojin was teaching his morning class when the ceiling collapsed. He remembered the flash of light, the thunder of impact, the screams of children. Then, darkness. When he woke, he was buried under rubble. He could not move his legs. Above him, he heard crying. A small voice. One of his students. "Teacher? Teacher, are you there?" Woojin found strength he did not know he had. He pushed against the concrete, his muscles screaming, his bones cracking. Inch by inch, he freed himself. Then he began digging toward the voice. He pulled 3 children from the ruins that day. He could not save the others. Their small bodies remained buried beneath what had been their school. That night, standing in the ashes of his old life, something changed inside Woojin. The teacher was gone. In his place stood something harder, something colder, something that would never forget what the Keth had done. Deep underground, Yoon Hana watched the destruction on her monitors. Tears ran down her face, but her hands did not stop moving. She was activating Project Aegis. "The system is not ready," Do-yoon warned. "It could fail. It could overload." "It has to work," Hana replied. "It has to." She pressed the final command. Above ground, generators hidden beneath 3 cities hummed to life. Energy fields expanded upward. Invisible walls of force rising toward the sky. The next Keth bombardment beam struck Seoul. It hit the shield and scattered like water against rock. The city survived. Busan, the same. The beam bounced away. Daejeon, protected. Hana fell to her knees. 3 cities. She could only save 3 cities. But 3 was better than none. Millions of lives. Protected by her work. It was not enough. It would never be enough. But it was something. On his flagship, Voss stared at the sensor data. 3 human cities now had shields that blocked his weapons. Impossible. These primitives should not have such technology. "How?" he demanded. "How do they have shields?" His officers had no answer. For the first time, Voss felt something he had not experienced in centuries of war. Uncertainty. "Deploy ground forces," he ordered. "If we cannot burn them from orbit, we will crush them on the surface. Send everything." Dropships descended through Earth's atmosphere like metal rain. Keth soldiers poured from their bellies, armed with weapons that could melt steel. They expected terrified civilians and easy victory. They found neither. In the ruins of cities, in the forests and mountains and deserts, humans fought back. With guns, with bombs, with knives and rocks and bare hands. They died by the thousands, but they did not stop. They could not stop. There was nowhere to run, nothing to lose. Taeho broadcast a message to the world. His voice steady, despite the chaos around him. "We did not ask for this war. But we will not run from it. Every city they take, we will reclaim. Every soldier they send, we will bury. We are humanity. We are Earth, and we do not kneel." Across the burning planet, people heard his words. And something ancient woke inside them. Something that had slept since humans first crawled from caves and looked up at the stars with hungry eyes. The will to survive. The refusal to submit. The fire that made them human. The Keth wanted a quick conquest. They would not get one. The war for Earth had begun. 6 months had passed since the invasion. The Keth controlled the surface of every continent. Their flags flew over ruined capitals. Their soldiers patrolled empty streets. They had won, or so they believed. Li Wujin crouched in the darkness of the Seoul subway tunnels, surrounded by 30 fighters. They were not soldiers. Before the war, they had been teachers, shopkeepers, students, office workers. Now, they were ghosts. They lived in the shadows, struck without warning, and vanished before the enemy could respond. The patrol will pass checkpoint 7 in 4 minutes. A young woman named Yuri whispered. She was barely 20, but her eyes were old. She had seen too much death. Wujin nodded. We hit them fast. Take their weapons. Disappear. No heroes, no risks. Understood? His fighters nodded. They had learned the hard way. In the first weeks, brave people had charged Keth positions, screaming battle cries. They had died screaming too. Now the resistance was smarter, patience, precision, pain delivered in small, constant doses. The Keth patrol appeared on schedule. 8 soldiers, tall and armored, carrying weapons that glowed with deadly light. They walked with the arrogance of conquerors. Expecting no threat from the conquered, Wujin gave the signal. Gunfire erupted from every shadow. 4 Keth soldiers fell in the first second. The others tried to fight back. But humans were already among them. Stabbing, shooting, overwhelming through sheer numbers. 10 seconds later, it was over. Take everything, Wujin ordered. Move. They stripped the bodies of weapons, ammunition, and communication devices. Then they melted back into the tunnels, leaving only corpses behind. 3 kilometers away, General Talok received the report of another ambush. He stood in what had once been Seoul City Hall, now converted into a Keth command center. The building was cold and gray, all human decorations removed. Another patrol lost, his aide reported. That makes 17 this week. Talok said nothing. He studied the map of the city, marked with dozens of attack locations. The humans were everywhere and nowhere. They struck and vanished like smoke. They should not be able to do this, the aide continued. They are primitive, undisciplined. They should have surrendered months ago. Perhaps, Talok said slowly, we underestimated them. It was not a thought he had ever expected to have about humans. But the evidence was clear. These creatures did not surrender. They did not break. They lost battle after battle, died by the millions, and still they fought. There was something almost admirable about it. In the Swiss Alps, far from Keth patrols, Choi Sora sat across a table from Rena, the Ilvari defector who had warned them of the invasion. Between them lay a holographic display showing weapon designs. These are what you offer, Sora said flatly. Guns, missiles, shield disruptors. Yes, Rena replied. Enough to arm a resistance. Enough to hurt the Keth badly. And in exchange, Rena's golden eyes met hers. An alliance. When the war ends, Earth joins the Ilvari coalition. Your ships, your soldiers, your resources become ours. Sora laughed. It was not a happy sound. So we trade one master for another. It is better than extinction, is it? Sora leaned forward. I have watched your coalition. I have seen how you treat your member worlds. Protected status, you call it. But your protection means obedience. Your partnership means servitude. Tell me, Rena, what is the difference between Keth slavery and Ilvari protection? Rena was silent for a long moment. Then she said, we do not burn cities. No, you just buy them instead. Sora stood up. I will take your weapons. But there will be no alliance. When this war ends, Earth will be free, truly free, or we will all be dead. She walked away. Rena watched her go, something like respect in her alien eyes. Deep beneath the Korean mountains, Yoon Hana had not slept in weeks. Her laboratory had become a battlefield of circuits and stolen technology. Captured Keth devices lay in pieces on every surface, their secrets slowly revealed. "I found it," she announced to her exhausted team. "The weakness." Doyoon looked up from his console. "What?" Hana pointed to a schematic on her screen. "Their power cores. Every Keth ship runs on a compact fusion reactor. Incredibly powerful, but vulnerable to specific electromagnetic frequencies." "What frequencies?" Hana smiled grimly. "The kind our old technology can produce. Radar systems. Radio towers. With modification, even our primitive nuclear weapons could generate the pulse needed. If we can detonate a modified warhead close enough to a Keth ship, we could make their reactor explode from the inside." The team stared at her. The implications were enormous. "You are saying," Doyoon spoke slowly, "that our old weapons could destroy their advanced ships?" "Yes, we just need to get close enough to use them." In orbit, Commander Voss received troubling news. The occupation was not going as planned. Human resistance was growing, not shrinking. Casualty reports increased every week, and now his sensors detected strange energy signatures from the planet below. The humans were building something. He sent a message to the Keth homeworld, requesting reinforcements. The response came quickly. A second wave was being assembled. 10 times larger than the first. They would arrive in 3 weeks. And they would show no mercy. Voss smiled. Let the humans have their small victories. Soon, their world would be nothing but ash and memory. But in the tunnels of Seoul, in the hidden laboratories, in the secret bunkers where humanity planned its survival, something was awakening. A determination forged in fire and blood. A refusal to die quietly. Kang Tae-ho stood before a flickering screen, broadcasting to every resistance cell on the planet. His face was tired but unbroken. "They think 3 weeks is enough time to finish us," he said. "They are wrong. In 3 weeks, we will show them what humanity can do. Prepare for Project Thunderfall. Prepare for the impossible. And prepare to make them bleed." Across the occupied Earth, hidden radios crackled with his message, and in the darkness, millions of hands reached for weapons. The countdown had begun. 18 days after Voss requested reinforcements, humanity launched its most desperate attack. Yoon Hana stood before the assembled commanders in a bunker deep beneath Jeju Island. Behind her, schematics glowed on screens. Her hands trembled, but her voice did not. "Project Thunderfall," she explained. 12 modified nuclear warheads, fitted with electromagnetic pulse generators, each one designed to trigger a chain reaction in Keth power cores. If we can get them past the enemy shields and detonate them near the flagship, we can destroy Commander Voss and his entire command fleet. An American general spoke up. "And how do we get past their shields?" "We fly them in, manually. A pilot has to carry each warhead directly into the shield perimeter before detonating." Silence filled the room. Everyone understood what she was saying. This was not a mission. It was a sacrifice. "The pilots will not survive," Hana continued, her voice cracking slightly. "I tried to find another way. There is none. Someone has to fly those bombs into the enemy fleet. Someone has to die." Park Jinu stepped forward. He had been standing in the back, arms crossed, listening quietly. 6 months of war had changed him. His face was harder, his eyes emptier. He had lost too many friends to count. "I will lead the mission," he said. Kang Tae-ho shook his head. "Captain Park, we need our best pilots to survive. Earth needs you for what comes after." "Arthav." Jinu met his eyes. "Secretary Kang, there may not be an after. The second wave arrives in 3 days. If we fail, Earth dies. I am not asking permission. I am telling you what I will do." He looked around the room at the other pilots. 11 more stepped forward. Young, old, men, women, Koreans, Japanese, Americans, Russians, Brazilians. 12 pilots, 12 bombs, 12 guaranteed deaths. We are with you, one of them said, a Japanese woman named Aiko. Let us show them what humans are made of. Teiho wanted to argue. He wanted to find another way. But there was no other way. So he simply bowed his head. Then may you find peace in what comes next. And may your sacrifice save us all. The same night, Li Wujin received his orders. Operation Distraction. Resistance cells in 12 occupied cities would launch simultaneous uprisings. The goal was not to win. The goal was to draw Keth ground forces away from air defenses, to create chaos, to give the pilots a chance. He gathered his fighters in the subway tunnels beneath Seoul. 300 faces looked back at him. 300 people who had lost everything and found purpose in the ruins. Tomorrow we attack, Wujin told them. Many of us will die. Perhaps all of us. But while we fight, while we draw their attention, our pilots will strike at the heart of the enemy. Our deaths will buy them time. Our blood will purchase our people's future. A young man raised his hand. He could not have been older than 18. Teacher, are you afraid? Wujin considered the question. Yes, he admitted. I am terrified. But fear does not matter. Only action matters. We act. And the universe answers. That is all we can do. He looked at their faces, scared, determined, beautiful in their courage. Tonight, sleep well. Tomorrow, we become legends. Across the world, Choi Sora prepared her own weapon. Not a bomb or a gun. Words. She sat before a stolen Keth communications console, waiting for the right moment. When the attack began, she would broadcast a message to the entire Galactic Assembly. She had written it a dozen times, crossed out lines, added new ones. Finally, she was satisfied. The hours passed. Dawn approached. Then the assault began. 12 cities erupted simultaneously. Seoul, Tokyo, Berlin, Cairo, Buenos Aires, Sydney, Moscow, Delhi, Lagos, Mexico City, Toronto, Paris. Resistance fighters poured from hiding places, attacking Keth positions with captured weapons and homemade explosives. The Keth responded with overwhelming force. Soldiers rushed to contain the uprisings. Air defenses focused on ground targets. For precious minutes, they forgot to look up. Jinu and his squadron launched from hidden airfields. They flew low, skimming treetops and ocean waves, avoiding detection. Above them, the Keth fleet hung in orbit like a crown of doom. All pilots, check in, Jinu said through his radio. 11 voices answered. 11 souls ready to die. Remember the mission. Get close. Detonate. Do not hesitate. The entire planet is counting on us. They climbed toward the stars. On the ground, Wujin led his fighters through the burning streets of Seoul. They had destroyed 2 Keth checkpoints and captured a communications tower. Now enemy soldiers were closing in from every direction. Hold the line, he shouted, firing at gray shapes in the smoke. Give them time. A plasma bolt struck the fighter next to him. She fell without a sound. Wujin did not stop moving. He could not. If he stopped, he would die. If he stopped, it would all be for nothing. In orbit, Jinu's squadron reached the Keth fleet. Point defense systems opened fire. Ships exploded around him. 3 pilots gone in seconds. Then 4. Then 5. Jinu pushed his engines to maximum. The flagship loomed ahead, massive and terrible. Its shields shimmered with deadly energy. I am going in, he announced. If I do not make it, tell them we tried. You will make it, Aiko responded. We all will. She did not make it. A defense beam cut her ship in half moments later. Jinu was alone, the last pilot, the last hope. His ship shuddered as plasma fire tore through his wing. Warning lights screamed. Systems failed one by one. He was dying. His ship was dying, but he was inside the shield perimeter. He looked at the massive hull of the flagship, filling his entire view. Somewhere inside, Commander Voss sat on his throne, confident in his victory. "This is for everyone you killed," Genu whispered. He activated the warhead. On his bridge, Voss had 1 second to see the flash of light before his world ended. The electromagnetic pulse struck his ship's power core. The reaction was instantaneous. The flagship exploded from within, a new sun blooming in Earth's orbit. The shockwave tore through nearby vessels, triggering more explosions. In moments, the entire command fleet was burning. On the planet below, people looked up and saw fire in the sky. They did not understand what they were seeing, but they felt something. Hope. Sora watched the explosion from her bunker. Tears streamed down her face. Then she pressed the broadcast button. "Galactic Assembly, this is Earth. You called us primitive. You called us irrelevant. Today, 12 of our people gave their lives to destroy an invasion fleet. We did not use advanced technology. We used courage. We used sacrifice. We used everything that makes us human. Watch us. Remember us. And know that we will never, ever surrender." She cut the transmission. Around her, staff members wept and embraced. Outside, resistance fighters screamed in triumph. But Tejo did not celebrate. He stood before his sensor screens, watching the debris of the destroyed fleet drift through space. Beyond it, far away but approaching fast, sensors detected a larger formation, the second wave. Still coming. Project Thunderfall had succeeded. But the war was not over. It was only beginning. The second Keth wave arrived 3 days after the destruction of Commander Voss. 10,000 ships darkened the sky. The largest invasion force in galactic history, sent to punish a single world for daring to resist. They expected to find Earth broken and bleeding, ready to kneel. They found something else entirely. Kang Tejo stood on the bridge of the Defiance, a captured Keth cruiser that human engineers had rebuilt from wreckage. Around him, 60 other vessels waited in formation. They were ugly things, cobbled together from alien technology and human determination. But they were real. They were ready. "All ships, report status," Tejo commanded. Voices answered from across the fleet. Pilots from every nation on Earth, trained in secret during the months of occupation, now sitting in cockpits they had built with their own hands. The Keth Admiral, a creature named Vorath, hailed them. His face appeared on the screen, twisted with contempt. "Surrender now," he demanded. "You destroyed one fleet through trickery. You will not survive another." Tejo smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "Admiral, I remember when your people first visited Earth. You called us primitives. Insects. You said we were nothing." He leaned forward. "Let me show you what nothing can do." He cut the communication. "All ships, engage." The battle for Earth began. Below, on the surface, Yoon Hana watched from her laboratory. Her work was finally complete. Project Aegis, expanded beyond her wildest dreams, now covered the entire planet. A shimmering dome of energy wrapped around Earth like a protective embrace. The Keth bombardment began. Beams of destruction rained down from orbit. They struck the shield and scattered harmlessly into space. Hana watched the energy readings. Stable, strong, holding. She finally allowed herself to smile. "Do-yun," she said softly. "We did it." Her assistant stood beside her, tears rolling down his cheeks. "Dr. Yoon, the shield is perfect. They cannot touch us." "Not perfect," she corrected, "but good enough. Now let our pilots finish this." In orbit, the battle raged. Human ships were smaller, weaker, less advanced. But they were piloted by people who had lost everything, who feared nothing, who fought with desperate fury. Tejo commanded from the center of the formation, directing attacks like a conductor leading an orchestra. Squadron 7. Hit their left flank. Squadron 12. Protect the carriers. Do not let them regroup. The Keth had numbers. But the humans had something else. They had spent months studying captured technology, learning weaknesses, developing tactics. Every Keth formation that seemed unstoppable had a flaw. Every weapon had a counter, and the humans exploited every single one. On the ground, Li Wujin led his forces in the final liberation of Seoul. The Keith occupation force, cut off from support and demoralized by the battle above, crumbled under the assault. Wujin himself cornered General Talak in the ruins of City Hall. The alien general stood alone, his guards dead around him, his weapon empty. "Kill me," Talak said. His voice was calm. "I will not beg." Wujin looked at him. This creature had overseen the deaths of thousands of his people, had burned his school, had turned his students into corpses. He raised his weapon, then he lowered it. "No," Wujin said. "You will surrender. You will stand trial. And you will watch as your empire learns that humans cannot be conquered." Talak stared at him for a long moment. Then slowly, he lowered his head. "You are strange creatures," he said. "We underestimated you." "Yes," Wujin replied. "You did." In orbit, the tide had turned. Keth ships burned by the hundreds. Their formations broke. Their admirals died one by one. Admiral Voreth watched his fleet crumble around him. This was impossible. These were primitives. Insects. Nothing. Yet nothing was destroying everything he had. "Retreat," he ordered, his voice hollow. "All ships, retreat." The remains of the Keith Armada fled into fold space, leaving behind thousands of burning wrecks and countless dead. Earth's fleet pursued, capturing dozens of vessels before they could escape. The sky cleared. The sun shone down on a world that had survived the impossible. Choi Sora addressed the Galactic Assembly one final time. She stood tall, wearing the simple clothes of a survivor, refusing the ceremonial robes offered by Ilvari diplomats. "Earth has defeated the Keth invasion," she announced. "Both the Keth Empire and the Ilvari coalition have offered us alliances, protection, partnership. We have considered these offers." She paused. The assembly hall was silent. "We decline both." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The Ilvari delegate leaned forward. "Surely you understand the value of allies." "The galaxy is dangerous," Sora nodded. "It is. And we will build relationships with those who respect us. Trade, cooperation, friendship. But we will not be anyone's vassal. We will not exchange one master for another. Earth will forge its own path, and we will remember who abandoned us in our time of need." She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of every delegate. The universe thought we were nothing. Now it knows the truth. Humanity bows to no one. She walked out without waiting for a response. 1 year later, Kang Taeho stood before a memorial wall in Seoul. It stretched for kilometers, covered with names. Millions of them. Soldiers, civilians, children, everyone who had died so that Earth could survive. His finger found one name among the millions. Park Jinu, the pilot who had led the impossible mission. The hero who had turned the tide. The friend Taeho had sent to die. He placed his hand on the cold stone. "We won," he whispered. "Because of you. Because of all of you." A young officer approached. She wore the uniform of Earth's new space fleet, crisp and proud. "Sir, the Galactic Assembly has requested an audience. They want to discuss terms." Taeho turned to face her. He was older now, his hair gray, his body tired. But his eyes still held fire. "Let them wait." He looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, human ships patrolled the solar system. Human colonists were building bases on the Moon and Mars. Human scientists were unlocking the secrets of alien technology. Earth had been tested by fire and emerged stronger. Not just as a planet. As a species, the galaxy had tried to crush humanity. It had failed. Now humanity would reach for the stars, not as servants, not as victims, but as equals. And anyone who stood in their way would learn what the Keth had learned. Humans did not kneel. Humans did not surrender. Humans did not die quietly. Humans fought. Humans survived. Humans won. Taeho took one last look at the memorial, at the names of those who had given everything. Then he walked toward tomorrow, toward a future humanity would build on its own terms, toward a destiny written in the stars by the blood and courage of ordinary people who had refused to accept the impossible. Earth had stayed out of the Galactic War until the war came to them, and they had ended it on their own terms, forever.